Welcome back to the deep dive. So, you're probably settling in, right? Start of the week, maybe facing down a big to-do list, lots of decisions.
Mm.
Well, we wanted to bring you something today, like a single piece of cultural wisdom that feels really potent for exactly this moment. We're going deep on the Ilonggo quality of Paghalong. And our source material, it really frames this as, well, essential, like the antidote to all that rushing around, that impulsiveness that just leads to more work later. Think of it as an upgrade for your week's operating system.
That's a great way to put it, an upgrade. And our mission today really is to unpack why this one idea, Paghalong, is actually the ultimate shortcut. Not, cutting corner shortcut, but the kind that leads to long-term efficiency, keeps your credibility intact. Basically, Paghalong means being prudent, careful, sure, but really for you listening, it's about being deeply thoughtful before you jump into action. It's about pausing just enough at the start, so you're not scrambling to fix things down the line.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that because careful, cautious.
Well,
Sometimes those words, they make you think of being timid, right?
yeah.
Or just like afraid to do anything. Resisting change, slowing down just because you don't want risk.
Right.
But the source is really clear, isn't it? Paghalong isn't that kind of simple caution.
Exactly. No, simple caution is often defensive. It's driven by fear, fear of losing something, fear of messing up. It makes us just want to avoid risk altogether. But Paghalong, the material suggests, comes from a different place. It's specifically an awareness of value. The value in what you're doing, the value of your time, the value of your relationships.
Yeah.
Think of it like this, maybe. Simple caution. You hold back an email because you're worried about typos. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Tag along.
Yeah.
You hold back that same email because you actually value the other person's time and you value your own reputation so much that you want to be absolutely sure the message is right, strategically sound,
Yeah.
crystal clear before it hits their inbox.
Okay, so the difference isn't the pause itself. Both involve pausing. It's the why behind it. It's driven by appreciating worth, not just running from danger.
Precisely. It's proactive, not reactive. And the source really hammers home the contrast. Paghalong is the dead opposite of being impulsive. Impulsiveness is just doing the quick thing, the convenient thing right now, without thinking about the real value or, the cost of cleaning up later. Prudence Paghalong makes sure what you do actually lines up with what you want to achieve and respects the resources you put in, especially your time.
That distinction is huge. Value-driven action versus fear-driven caution.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've sort of defined it. Now let's get practical, the mechanics. If you want to actually live this, what does it look like day to day? What habits, what concrete actions signal Paghalong?
Well, and that's the strength here, I think. It's very practical. The material really boils it down to 3 specific behaviors, things we can all start doing, like today. Habits that shift us towards that value-driven prudence. And the first one is, well, it sounds simple, but it's deep. Checking your work twice.
Checking work twice. Okay, yeah, basic quality control, maybe. But how is this Paghalong? How does it elevate it beyond just, ticking a box?
Because the source frames it as valuing your future self's time. Think about it. You're prepping some research, writing a report. The impulsive way, hit send the second you finish that first draft. Done. But the Paghalong way involves that second dedicated review. And you're not just hunting for typos, like I said before. You're checking the structure, the logic, the conclusions. Is this solid? Can it stand up to questions right away?
Right. So it's actually an efficiency thing, not just being fussy or perfectionistic. It's protecting yourself from what you called rework debt. Spend 15 minutes more now, say maybe hours next week, dealing with questions or fixing mistakes.
Exactly right. And that flows perfectly into the second habit, speaking with respect.
Again, sounds like basic politeness.
Yeah.
Good manners. But I'm guessing there's more to it in this context.
There is. Speaking impulsively, maybe when you're stressed or rushed, often means you sacrifice clarity just to be fast. Firing off short, maybe curt emails, making assumptions in meetings. Using language that's kind of ambiguous, maybe even dismissive. That's the opposite of Paghalong. Prudent communication actually shows you value the relationship, you value your own reputation, because you take that extra second to make sure your message lands right. No friction, no need for endless follow-ups to clarify what you meant.
Yeah, okay.
For someone like you who values learning quickly, thoughtful language actually stops information getting lost in translation. So, practicing Paghalong here means choosing the right words, maybe taking a breath before you jump into a heated discussion, making sure your tone actually matches what you intend. It's an investment, really, in smooth collaboration.
I can definitely see the benefit there. Less confusion, less cleanup.
Okay. And the third one, the third behavior from the source.
The third one is taking the time to plan your route. Okay, planning your route. Now, this is where maybe it gets a little tricky for me. In today's work world, isn't there a danger that planning can sometimes look a lot like, well, putting things off, procrastinating? How do you tell the difference between Paghalong planning and just delaying a tough task?
That is such a critical point. And the distinction is key. Procrastination is delay because you're avoiding something. It doesn't add value. Paghalong planning, though, is delay driven by analyzing value. You're taking time to define the goal, map out the steps, think about potential roadblocks before you start, whether that's a literal trip or, outlining a complex project.
Right.
So if the time you spend planning actually makes it significantly more likely you'll hit the target efficiently, correctly, that's prudence. That's Paghalong. But if the planning isn't giving you any new strategic insight, if it's just circling the problem, going over the same ground, then yeah, that's probably sliding back into just caution or avoidance. The prudent person, the Paghalong person, spends the minimum necessary time planning to get clear on direction and value. And then they act decisively.
That's a really useful framework for you listening. If the planning clearly links to value, to long-term success, it's Paghalong. If it feels like comfort, avoidance, maybe it's just stalling.
Absolutely. It's kind of the ultimate efficiency hack, isn't it? Achieved, ironically, by slowing down that first impulse.
Okay, so moving beyond just personal efficiency, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The source talks about broader benefits, right?
Yeah.
Cultural, personal payoffs for choosing this thoughtful path. What's the dividend? What do we gain?
The core payoff really boils down to respect. And it manifests in three distinct but definitely interconnected ways. First, and we touched on this, Paghalong shows respect for your own time. That rework debt idea, it goes beyond that. It's about your whole schedule. When you act rashly, you're basically treating your future time as if it's disposable. You just assume future me will have the bandwidth to clean up the mess.
Right.
But when you act prudently with Paghalong, you protect that future self. You save that time for actual new opportunities or maybe just needed rest instead of using it for, stress-filled damage control.
Huh. It's like setting a boundary with your future self. Present there. You refusing to dump unnecessary work on future you. I like that.
Exactly. Then the second area is respect for your reputation. We all know people like that, right? The ones who rush, who seem inconsistent, who are always having to backtrack or clarify because they spoke or acted too fast. Those impulsive actions, they erode credibility. Bit by bit, they chip away at trust. Whereas thoughtful, considered actions, the hallmark of Paghalong, they build something else entirely. A reputation for reliability, for consistency, for wisdom even.
Yeah, in a world that often seems to reward the fastest reaction, maybe choosing prudence makes you stand out differently. Like the anchor. The person whose opinion is actually valued because it's clearly been thought through, not just fired off.
And that leads right into the third area, which is maybe the most culturally significant. Respect for the people around you. Think about it. Your haste often pushes costs onto other people. Your colleague has to proofread your messy draft. Your team has to scramble because the plan wasn't thought through. Your client gets a confusing message they now have to spend time figuring out. Paghalong makes sure your own efficiency doesn't come at someone else's expense. It respects their resources, their energy, too.
Wow, that trifecta of respect is pretty profound. Time, reputation, answers. But okay, there was one last detail you mentioned, something fascinating. It connects haste to emotional fallout. This idea that Paghalong helps us avoid becoming Paghalong. Can you dig into that a bit? What's the emotional cost we're avoiding?
Yes, Paghalong. It's such a great insight, really, into the social cost of impulsivity. Now, Paghalong often gets translated simply as, easily annoyed or touchy, maybe thin-skinned. But in this specific Ilonggo context the source uses, it carries this extra layer, this nuance of acute frustration. Or maybe embarrassment, even shame, that follows a mistake you could have prevented.
Okay.
So when you act rashly, you send that angry email, you skip that vital planning step, and then the predictable bad thing happens, that feeling you get. That's Paghalong. You're mad at the situation, sure, but you're also annoyed at the stupid, avoidable error, and often you're really annoyed at yourself because you didn't exercise that basic prudence.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
That sort of internal. That I should have known better, and now I have to fix this mess I made entirely myself.
That's exactly it. So by using Paghalong, by checking the value, by being prudent, you essentially remove the root cause of that whole emotional backlash. It is, like you said earlier, it's kind of preemptive emotional security. You protect your own peace of mind by protecting the quality of your actions first.
That really nails it, doesn't it? Choosing Paghalong means choosing long-term respect, credibility, even emotional calm, over just the quick hit of getting something done fast. It's a whole framework, really, for proactive decision-making.
Yeah.
And, yeah, just like the source ends, we'll echo that sentiment.
Maraming salamat tagmayad na si Mana. Thank you very much, and have a good week.
A very good wish. And one built on thoughtfulness.
So just to recap, we've defined Paghalong. It's that deeply thoughtful approach, rooted in respecting value, the total opposite of impulsive action. It pushes us to check work twice, speak respectfully, plan effectively.
Right. And now for the final thought. The challenge, really. Because if Paghalong requires taking time to think deeply, plan, check, how do we actually do that? How do we make this work in our modern world, which, let's be honest, often seems to reward speed above everything else? That pressure for an instant answer, it's relentless.
So the challenge for you, listening this week, is this. Can you pick one specific area? Just one high-impact area. Maybe it's how you delegate work. Maybe it's drafting a really key proposal. Maybe even a big personal financial decision. And in that one area, can you consciously choose deep thoughtfulness and planning instead of haste? Don't just aim to avoid a mistake. Actively try to show respect for the value of your time, your reputation, and others' time. Just see what happens. See what efficiency you actually gain when you slow down just enough to be truly prudent.
That really is the ultimate test, isn't it? Will you value your time enough to slow down now in order to genuinely speed up later? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the practical power of Paghalong. We hope it gives you something valuable to think about this week.
Until next time.